The Lady and the Unicorn, and the Lady of the Lake, Schekinah, and the Hermes Trismegistus stone. A conference given in Massigny on the 5th of May 2017 by Thomas Payneham. When I became interested in the anagogical church in the Brionnais region, Mercury, Orpheus, Saturn, Cercopes. The extraordinary cynocephaly inside the 11th and 12th century church in anagogical. You will enter a cynocephalus through mysterious doors. The inhabitants will purify you. You will approach your dwelling with the help of those who are already there. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. One day I stopped at the aïeh castle, which is next to the anagogical church. It was there that I first heard about the tapestries named The Lady and the Unicorn. The more I researched into these tapestries, the more amazed I became about the different interpretations of them, and also about their links with the Brionnais region in which the church is located. I will thus speak about these two aspects this evening. But there is also a third, fascinating aspect. The story told by these tapestries has never really been definitively agreed upon. We can even say that it is a contemporary subject. The Lady of the Lake, the Lady and the Unicorn. The French writer Yvon Carouste once wrote, "Of all the works inspired by unicorns, the series of the 6 tapestries entitled The Lady and the Unicorn in the Cluny Museum in Paris is certainly one of the most beautiful and mysterious." These tapestries, which have been in the museum since 1883, were discovered by George Sand in 1835 at the Broussac Castle in a little-known town in the Creuse region. It was the home and office of a high-ranking official. George Sand liked staying in this 15th century castle, which was built by Jean I of Brosse, a companion of Joan of Arc. The origin of these tapestries remains uncertain. One of the most common theories mentions the Le Viste family, who lived in the aïeh castle in Brionnais. A coat of arms attributed to Antoine II Le Viste appears in The Lady and the Unicorn tapestries. Before beginning, we could quote from Plutarch, who, talking about shrines, once said, "Everything has a meaning. Nothing is done without intention or reason." This is absolutely true for the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries. As an example, we can look at one strange character which everybody says is a key to understanding these tapestries. This character is just to the right of the French sentence "à mon seul désir," which translates to my only desire." To this day, no one understands its meaning. Most people think it is an aïeh, but that doesn't put us any further ahead, because "to my only desire, I" doesn't make much sense. Notice that a diagonal rope cuts across this mysterious character. Notice also that an identical rope is needed to understand the aïeh of the French "à mon seul désir." We can therefore deduce that this rope is necessary. Indeed, it is a key, and this key reveals another. These are the 2 golden keys that open and close the whole story told by the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries. In order to be able to understand the story told by the tapestries, We first must arrange them in order. Notice that the lady with the unicorn is wearing a necklace on each of the 5 tapestries of the 5 senses: touch, smell, taste, hearing and sight. Notice also that the lady has taken her necklace off in one of the tapestries, the To My Only Desire tapestry. She has taken her necklace off to finally enter the tent. No one takes off a necklace to go out. Therefore, logic would have it that the To My Only Desire tapestry comes chronologically last. Notice that the unicorns are matched in pairs, 2 by 2. Panel 3, Sight and Desire. Panel 2, Taste and Hearing. Panel 1, Touch and Smell. The shield is a symbol of protection. It is therefore logical to start with the unicorns in panel 1, which have shields, because the chronological order finishes with unicorns without shields. Within panel 1, the unicorn in the smell tapestry is rearing up in the same sort of movement as in the taste tapestry. This is the attitude which allows us to choose the order between touch and smell. The order is therefore touch, smell, taste, hearing, sight, desire. Hairstyles. Catherine Vincent wrote, "In medieval society, external appearance left nothing to chance. It obeyed a code under which each element had a precise meaning. Within the aristocracy, hairstyles distinguished levels of dignity." What were the hairstyles like in the 15th century? The lady with the unicorn and her companion have strange hairstyles. Their hair is sticking up like horns from the tops of their heads. This hairstyle is very unlike any others from the 15th century. It's more like Penelope's hairstyle. A 15th century tapestry depicting Penelope. To My Only Desire tapestry. Penelope was a tireless spinner, a craftswoman in the kingdom of the wise, and the mother of the great work of the initiates. My father, Icarus, has forced me to abandon a bed that you have deserted, and he condemns your eternal absence. Let him accuse you if he wishes. I want only to be yours. Penelope will always be Ulysses' wife. Penelope's companion is Eurynome, who is Okeanos' daughter. Eurynome is a wave of water and graces. She is the most fertile agent of heaven's kindness. She is showing the light coming out of the dark depths of the ocean. The lady is in front of her tent. The tent doors are being held open by the lion and the unicorn, while the lady, who has taken off her necklace, places her jewels in a box. A lady does not put her jewels away to go outside, but more likely when she enters a private place. Therefore, the lady is about to enter the tent. The lady and the unicorn is also she who enters the tent. In Hebrew, this is Sophia Shati Schekinah. She is entering a tent, which shall not be moved elsewhere. The stakes in the ground that hold it shall never be torn away, and the cords that hold it shall not break. This is written in the Zohar. Where is aïeh, Sarai, your wife. Abraham replied, She is in the tent. For inside there is the crux of everything, and that is where the Schekinah resides, the Zohar. What is the Schekinah? Wisdom. Who is wisdom's companion? Understanding. Sibyl of Cumae, understanding, heralds the return of the Golden Age. Now is come the last stage of the Cumaean prophecy. The great cycle of periods is born anew. Now returns the maid, returns the reign of Satan. Now from high heaven a new generation comes down. Now that we know that the lady and the unicorn is the Schekinah, wisdom, we can go back to that famous mysterious character. The rabbits allude to all the underground passages that must be explored, like the entrance corridor maze of the Dendra temple complex. Godfrey of Bouillon and his seal. The coat of arms of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. As a symbol and coat of arms of his Kingdom of Jerusalem, Godfrey of Bouillon was the first to use not a cross, as is commonly thought, but an abbreviation consisting of two golden capital letters on a silver background. They are an H and an I with flared tops and bottoms. They signify the name of the city of Jerusalem. Thus, this mysterious character can be read in two ways. If we only consider the central part, it's either an I or a J. These two letters had the same medieval lettering and are the equivalent of Yod. Or, if we consider the adjacent parts, with the rope, it's Aleph. We thus obtain either the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph, which means the first substance, or the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Yod, which means the microprosopis, or rather its alliance with the wisdom that illuminates the kingdom. Alone the Yod, the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, also stands for the Shekinah. Between these two Hebrew alphabet letters of Aleph and Yod lies the invisible world. Sovereign intelligence received the influence of the first eternal light from the Father, from whom all things emanate. All the Adam Kadmon, the earth god of the Kabbalah, lies between the two letters Aleph and Yod. Wisdom. Sophia, the body of God, helps the new Adam at every stage of his spiritual and bodily reconstitution. Heavenly Jerusalem. Union between Yod and Aleph indicates the birth of Heavenly Jerusalem. Heavenly Jerusalem is the spiritual kingdom of all souls. To my only desire, Hierusalem. Royalty over souls is my only desire. To truly understand the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries, we need to go back 150 years before the tapestries were made and listen to what Dante tells us about his Divine Comedy. O good readers of sound mind, ponder well the doctrine hidden beneath the veils of these strange verses. Dante explains, the scriptures can be understood and should mainly be explained from four levels of meaning. One is literal, the other allegorical, the third is the moral meaning, the fourth is the analogical meaning, that is to say, the spiritual and mystical meaning. Are these four levels of meaning disjointed or juxtaposed? The spiritual meaning is the outcome of the other three. It's somewhat like entering a temple. Before entering the Holy of Holies, you must follow a path. In the atrium, you learn about generalities. In the first hypostyle hall, you learn the rules. In the second hall, you learn religious knowledge. Finally, in the Holy of Holies, you receive the initiation. Today, in the first part of this conference, we will look at the literal meaning, the allegorical meaning, and the analogical meaning. The moral meaning will be dealt with in the second part, where we will see the final solution. The literal meaning. According to accepted interpretations, the 6 tapestries represent the 5 senses: touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste, and a 6th tapestry entitled To My Only Desire. Now that we have arranged the tapestries in order, we will give their meanings, starting with their literal meanings. The lady is holding the unicorn's horn. This is the sense of touch. Notice among the background animals that there is a little monkey. We will speak about that later. The monkey is smelling a carnation, while the lady seems to be thinning out flower petals. This is the sense of smell. The lady is about to drink from a cup handed to her by her companion. This is the sense of taste. The lady is playing an organ while her companion pumps the bellows. This is the sense of hearing. The unicorn is looking at itself in a mirror placed above a monstrance. This represents the sense of sight. Why is there a monkey? As we know, a monkey represents an alchemist, wrote Eugène Cancelet in 2 Alchemical Abodes. The alchemist is a shrewd, wild monkey who has discovered how nature works and who intends to take away its powers by imitating it. The alchemist is the chosen one who must communicate the will of God to mankind. Through the 5 senses, man has all corporal things at his disposal: earth, water, air, and fire. They are not composed by assembly, but by transmutation and union, in which they find resolve when tainted. In the ethereal region, light takes the place of fire. Being in its own natural compartment, light needs no envelope. This world without envelope is the soul. For Egyptians, the lion is an image of the human heart, the soul. In order to know God, the soul, the lion, had to pass through 3 phases which were compared to the Nile in flood. Waiting, black earth. Rising, green earth. Harvest, golden ears of wheat. This is why the alchemists also have 3 lions to represent putrefaction, rebirth, and illumination. Notice that the lady, the unicorn, and the lion are on a blue island. This blue island is a lotus flower growing from land and water. The lotus opens when the sun begins to rise. Horus on a lotus flower is an emblem of the Nile and a blossoming soul. "Hail to thee," said Horus, "O 6th door of the god with a still heart. I have made my way. I know thee. I know thy name. I know the name of the god who guards thee." the book of the death of the Egyptians, which is in reality a book of resurrection. A 15th century tapestry at the Museum of Decorative Arts in Paris called Hercules and the Nemea Lion suggests to us that the lion in The Lady and the Unicorn is the lion of Nemea. This lion was far superior to all others because of its nobility and invulnerability. For alchemists, the human heart, the soul, is also named sulfur because sulfur is inflammable like the human heart. Sulfur is this lion, said the wise men. We can notice that at first the lion is protected before gradually surrendering to the sacred cause. The human heart is allowing itself to be invaded. The unicorn. The unicorn was lycorn in ancient spelling. According to the undeniable and kabbalistic etymology of the noun, unicorns bring light. Like is alb, ornis is bird. Eugène Cancelet, De Logie Alchimique. Alb, like, is the white liturgical gown that priests use during services to signify that they are clothed with the Word of God. Laike gave French the word liquette, which is a nightgown. Ornis is the bird that comes from the sky. The unicorn that interests us here has a long straight horn on its forehead, a horse's body, a lion's tail, and an ibex's head. The horn on its head is a mercurial or messenger spear, a priestly and alchemical spear. It's a symbol of power and initiatory induction. The horse is associated with Pegasus. It is the symbolic vehicle for travel between the upper and lower worlds. It is a symbol of a cavalier or horseman, that is to say, the one who works or the one who teaches and instructs in phonetic Kabbalah. The lion's tail is called alcia because alcia means strength, particularly because the lion's tail is its greatest source for strengthening its resolve and building its courage. Alicia means warlike impulse. The ibex is the sentinel of the mountains, the watchman with a gaze that pierces hearts. The unicorn has a split hoof, which indicates whether or not the animal is benevolent. All animals which have hooves but do not have split hooves or do not chew their cud are unclean. Whoever touches them becomes unclean. The unicorn is therefore the messenger. In the secular sense, the unicorn has the same meaning as the god Mercury. It is the messenger with the instructions of the wise men. Together with sulfur and mercury, salt is needed because salt has the twin properties of the destroyer of the old soul and the preserver of the new soul. Also, the salt which is indispensable for the great work of the initiates is not far hidden. The Virgin and the Unicorn. The incarnation of the Word. The association of a unicorn with a virgin indicates a perfect soul, the goal of the alchemist's great work. It is the coagular phrase that gives a perfect stone red or a bright body dye, according to Pernetti. Methohermetic Dictionary. The beautiful lady, where love shows itself with so much honor inside and out, pierces your heart and comes to life by living in you. By her so gentle guard in her enclosure, that I hear in my soul every unicorn. The Lion and the Unicorn. The lion biting the unicorn represents the soul in rebellion. The three moons. The seed of the sun, carried by the moon, is the inexhaustible source of reproduction in beings. When the light of the moon is kindled from the dew-covered earth, come the green shoots of golden-coloured trees. This again is the three stages: putrefaction, rebirth, illumination. Among Kabbalists, the Schekinah is the sacred moon, and the crescent moon is the symbol of the Shekinah's exile. The three crescent moons represent the three stages: waning, which is the exile; regeneration of light after complete disappearance; and the future renewal of all things in redemption. This explains the three rising crescent moons. We will now show that behind every literal meaning there is an allegorical meaning. Deep love, the emerging soul, baptism of the soul, the impressionable soul, the light of the soul. The allegorical sense. From an allegorical point of view, a deep soul is linked to matter, and this is expressed through touch. Touch is essentially linked to matter. Deep love. The animals which accompany the deep soul. A heron, a fox, a falcon, a leopard, a tame white leopard, the alchemist monkeys, a partridge, and a rabbit. The animals which accompany the deep soul. Partridges are associated with Latona, the symbol of the sun and the moon. The partridge placed next to the artist represents the great work which gave birth to a powerful and irreproachable son. The rabbits also suggest fecundity and consequently the multiplication of the philosopher's stone. The landing heron symbolizes the wisdom of the chosen ones, the alchemists. The falcon stands for superiority and the victory of the chosen ones. The fox symbolizes human contradictions, which the chosen ones will work on. The spotted leopard will become a white leopard once the great work has been accomplished. Smell in the allegorical sense. I believe that smell is the closest sense to the spirit because fumigation penetrates everything. Touch, deep love. Smell, the emerging soul. Taste in the allegorical sense. Taste can only be perceived through contact with matter. Thus, taste is the link between heaven and earth. The baptism of the soul. Hearing in the allegorical sense. An impressionable soul must vitalize the air which surrounds it. The impressionable soul. The standard and the banner. The standard is that of sacred causes. The banner is the symbol of protection. Two winds are blowing the standard and the banner in opposite directions. Breath of a double wind called vulturn is needed, says Basil Valentine. Contradictory winds are an image of ideas that clash. Therefore, be trusting, knowing that the spiritual will become corporal. Sight in the allegorical sense. The mirror placed on a monstrance reflects light down into the depths of consciousness. The light of the soul. Touch, deep love. Smell, the emerging soul. Taste, baptism of the soul, hearing, the impressionable soul, sight, the light of the soul. The trees. The oak tree allows communication between heaven and earth. It is divine force and spiritual. It is wisdom. Holly retains beads of dew and rain. It is knowledge. Pine trees are symbols of phalluses. Pentheus, hidden in a pine tree, was torn apart by his mother, his womb. This represents the birth soul that must be destroyed in order to be re-sown. The orange tree is conjugal love, new birth, the new soul. The holly, oak, and orange trees are sometimes shown as three trunks. The pine tree is an exception. By my faith, said the king, explain the three trunks to me. This one forms, this one saves, this one purifies. The book of the Grail. Why is a Bichon frieze sitting on the bench? Bichons represent conjugal love. The bench is raised, and thus, with the Bichon, they represent the elevation of conjugal love. Aurora convergent, le lever de l'aurore, dawn rising. Now that my bread has been sufficiently kneaded by my own hands, in the entertaining preface to the first book, time calls and requires my ship to leave port. Dante. In the middle of the 15th century, 50 years before the tapestries were made, a book appeared which seems to have inspired them. The author of this book is unknown. The darkness of the soul, putrefaction. My voice cries out from the depths of the earth. Turn towards me with all your heart, and do not despise me if my robe is black and dark, for it is the sun that has taken away its colour. The depths have covered my face. My land has been poisoned and corrupted in all I undertake. For darkness has come across it, because I have sunken into a bottomless pit, and my substance has not opened. That is why I cried out to you from the bottom and the depth of the earth. My voice went up to you, all of you who pass along your way. The demon of ignorance floods the whole earth and draws the soul to its doom, enclosed in the body. Don't let yourself be carried away by the mighty waves. If possible, try to reach a port of safety. Seek a guide who will lead you to the gates of knowledge. There, where clear light is found, pure from all darkness. Where you can contemplate He who wants to be seen with all your heart, God. The glowing dawn still separates the night, negridu, from the day, albidu. The fire of love separates the pure from the impure, when it removes all accidents of the soul, i.e. the vapours or bad smells. As it is said, fire separates heterogeneous parts and gathers homogeneous parts. The rubedo, the sun. The queen stood to your right in a golden gown and covered with various other garments. Listen, my dear, watch and lend your ear, and the king will fall in love with your beauty. Wisdom is a light for those who have intelligence. It will never wither nor fade away. Understanding obscure things. Now I want to reveal some science and mystery to you and give you understanding of obscure things in art, and I will bring to light that which has been veiled for a long time. This glorious science of God, this doctrine of the saints, this secret of philosophers, this medicine of physicians, is despised by fools because they know not what it is. Sound cannot be heard without air. Although sound cannot be made without air, yet sound is not of the same nature as air, nor air of the same nature as sound. In the same way, the sensitive soul must stir up the air to which it is joined. Conjunctio, chemical weddings. Behold, with salt, whose nature is cold and dry, we have removed all black and made the white, that is to say, the spirit, permanent. All good things have come to me with white, the wisdom of the south, who is shouting to make her voice heard in the streets, shouting in front of crowds, proclaiming her words at the entrance of the city gates. She is saying, "Come to me and be enlightened, and your endeavours will not become confused." Blessed is the man who has found this science and to whom this prudence from Saturn flows. Think of it all along your path, and it will guide your steps. As Senior says, it is understood by he who is wise, subtle and ingenious in his judgments, and when his mind has been enlightened by the Book of Unity. Then every flowing mind will follow his desire. Blessed is he who reflects upon my words. The fire of love. How beautiful you are, my friend, how beautiful you are. Your eyes are the eyes of doves, without which that which is inside is hidden, sight. Your hair is like herds of goats coming up from the Gilead hill country, touch. Your teeth are like the flocks of shorn sheep leaving the dip. They all bear double fruit, and there is not a barren one amongst them. Taste. Your lips are like a scarlet band, and your speech is soft. Hearing. Until the day dawns and the shadows flee, I shall go to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of frankincense. Smell. O benedicta veriditas, cae cuncetas, res generas. O blessed vigour, which begets all things. The Shekinah now merges with the golden thread of the divine will. The tent drips with tears of salt. The tears of salt that have fallen from heaven are Gilead's dew. Because there is a perpetual covenant of salt before the Lord, for you and for your offspring. Gilead is the progenitor of the Schekinah, the kingdom of the righteous. Jacob pitched his tent in the Gilead hill country. Genesis 31:25. Gilead is the highest point. It represents bliss, abundance, and the kingdom of the righteous. We shall be as a city upon a hill. The eyes of all people are upon us. John Wimthorpe's City Upon a Hill, 1630. Now Gilead is also the Christian name at baptism of Lancelot of the Lake. Standing before Simeon's tomb, the father of Moses, Lancelot, was stripped of his baptismal name of Gilead, progenitor, and this name was given to his son, who succeeded where his father had failed. When Lancelot arrived at Grail Castle, he fell victim to a magic spell which made him believe that Iliane was Queen Guinevere. This is when he conceived his son Gilead. In the Lancelot of the Lake novels, it is Gilead, Lancelot's son, who has the honour of fulfilling the Holy Grail. It is the light that the Blessed Holy One showed Moses. By it, he could see from Gilead to Dan, the Zohar. The Lancelot of the Lake novels also have several levels of meaning: a story level, or a tale, a symbolic level, transposition, and a hidden meaning, constructed. At the story level, the novels tell a true story, albeit fictionalized. We can therefore look for true characters and geographical locations. At the symbolic level, the novels retell the story of Aeneas, a Trojan war hero who founded the mythical town of Lavinium, the beginning of the city of Rome. In the Lancelot of the Lake novels, the kingdom of Logris, London, was founded by Brutus of Troy, the grandson of Aeneas, who was driven out of Italy after accidentally killing his father. The novel's hidden meaning shows the construction of the modern world. Lancelot of the Lake was a Gaul. Upon the arrival of Lancelot of the Lake at King Arthur's court, Queen Guinevere asked Yvon who this young man was. Yvon replied, "I know only that he is from the country of Gaul, for he has the accent." Lancelot novel. This passage is very important. It indicates that Chrétien de Troyes told a true story, although he only knew it by word of mouth, and that Lancelot of the Lake was indeed a Gaul. Lancelot of the Lake's father was King Ban of Benwick, and his castle was on the banks of the Loire River. Claudas of the Deserted Lands, the king of Bourges, fought against King Ban. After being defeated by Claudas, King Ban fled with his wife and young son, Lancelot the Handsome. The Lady of the Lake, a water fairy who was deeply admired by Merlin, took the young child and raised and educated him. Lancelot then went to King Arthur's court in England. Lancelot of the Lake, the novel. Paul in Paris says that there are two literary schools of thought concerning the same legend. The undeniable age and importance of the Breton lay, a literary style, in the Round Table novels, resolve one of the difficulties that had long puzzled me. In the 12th century, and even before the 12th century, there were two schools of poetry in France and two ways of showing the same society. The French trouvères, medieval minstrels, came from one of these schools, and the Breton harpers came from the other. The former sang about the morals and character and hopes of Francia. The legend of Lancelot of the Lake is therefore from the late 12th century, and it is more a Frank novel than from Brittany. Paulin says we can notice huge variations in the types of lay. The only thing that can be said for certain is that the story's French locations include Touraine, Anjou, Poitou, Brittany border country, Brittany, part of Auvergne, and Lower Burgundy. According to the manuscript called Lancelot en prose, early 13th century, the only clues to pinpointing the location of the kingdom of Benwick are that it is on the continent, on the Loire River, and that it adjoins the enemy kingdom belonging to Claudas of the deserted lands, which is clearly located in Bourges, the capital of Berry. The novel tells us that the kingdom of Claudas, located in Bourges, bordered the kingdom of Benwick, near Trebes Castle. Trebes Castle was in walking distance of a royal abbey. There was a lake half a league, about 3 kilometres from the royal abbey. Therefore, as stated in the Grail novel published by La Pléiade Gallimard, the suggested present-day geographical locations of Trebes, such as Trèves-Cugnot near Saumur in Anjou, remain doubtful. This quotation is from Queen Guinevere when showing her confidant the path she must follow. Tomorrow you should go to Gaul, and when you get there, you will find a fortress called Trebes. Near this fortress there is an abbey called Moster Royal. This monastery sits upon a knoll, and in the valley below there is a lake. When you are there, enter safely, and do not be afraid, because it is not haunted. Lancelot novel. Moster Royal means royal monastery. Paulin quotes a passage from a lie in Lancelot of the Lake. A great battle will be fought on St. John's Wednesday in front of Trebes Castle, between the two rivers of Loire and Arsy. As for you, you will need to stay within the Arnanti forest, awaiting a signal that will call you to join the soldiers. Lancelot novel. In the text by Poulain, the town of Arsy is indeed spelt A-R-C-Y. The castle in which Lancelot of the Lake was born. They rode to Trebes. This castle was the one which King Ban, Lancelot of the Lake's father, had fortified. It was indeed very secure, being situated on the other side of the border from Berry. Lancelot novel. King Ban had a neighbour who bordered his land at Berry. This neighbour was called Claudas, the lord of Bourges and the surrounding country, which was then called the deserted lands. Trebes Castle is situated on the other side of the border. Anjou, Berry, Lower Burgundy. Anjou does not adjoin Berry, whereas Lower Burgundy does, on the other side of the border. Mythical places in the Lancelot of the Lake novels. Not only does Trebes' ideal location make it a strong fortress, in the etymological sense of the word, but this fortress also has a number of characteristics that suggest a supernatural origin. Source, La Pléiade, the Grail novel. The name Trebes should be taken in a mythical sense. Chrétien de Troyes explains that Avalon Island, the island where Merlin, Morgana, and Artus lie, is the place where the sun is swallowed before being reborn, hence the name Avalon. Atos, l'immonde va et ira en Avalon. Thus everyone goes and will go to the west. What is the mythical meaning of Trebes? Charles Mela has written about the origin of Trebes. Trebes brings together Thebes and Troy into a single barren wasteland. No Rome will ever be founded there. No line of descendants is more promising to the empire of the world. Trebes is the antithesis of the island of Avalon. It is the place where the sun shall no longer rise. This is where we can see a strange fact. Coats of arms cannot be copied. This is an unbreakable rule. Pastoral. The origins of Semur-en-Brionnais are very old. The oldest historical document mentioning Semur-en-Brionnais is a charter from the Marcinic cartulary with its reference to a text dating from the second half of the 9th century. It reads as follows: Forlion de Chambly, lord of the fortress of Semur. Semur means without walls. This name has perplexed etymologists and historians. Mario Rossi has written that Semur-en-Brionnais may have been a citadel without fortifications, but leaving a fortress like Semur without protective walls during a troubled period seems highly unlikely. Lancelot of the Lake. Queen Guinevere. Semur, the city without walls. In fact, the Lady of the Lake explains this very well in a plea she makes to Merlin the wizard. Semur, the city administered by a government of souls. Sweet, beautiful friend, I want you to teach me how I could enclose and encircle a man without using walls, towers, or shackles. One who never does anything without my saying so. The Lady of the Lake's plea to Merlin the wizard. The Grail is the new man who can be enclosed and encircled without walls, towers, or shackles, who never does anything without my saying so. The birth of the new man. A great battle took place between two rivers, the Loire and the Aïeh. Aïeh is mentioned in the Lancelot of the Lake novels. It is well documented as being near Semur-en-Brionnais. But where is the Aïeh River? A conche is a small valley where water collects in a basin which doesn't empty further away. The conches of Aïeh and Monceau-l'Étoile, from whence came the Aïeh Conche, later called the Arcance River. The Aïeh Conche. The Arcance River passes at the foot of the Semur-en-Brionnais castle. It is quite swift, particularly in autumn when it can flow at 12 cubic meters per second. Large floods can occur. All the Aïeh River, which had been clear, became red. The church at the royal monastery was built for the love of King Ban of Benwick, who died there. It was built on land overlooking a valley with a lake half a league away. The Lancelot novel. In order to be complete and to correspond to the book's descriptions, we still need a lake situated half a league, about 3 kilometers from the royal monastery of Semur-en-Brionnais, and a knoll from where King Ban of Benwick could have watched his castle burn. Was there a lake 3 kilometers from Masseny? Saint-Martin-du-Lac is located 3 kilometers from Masseny-les-Nonnaines, the site of the Mostère Royal. In early Middle Age documents, the village of Saint-Martin-du-Lac was named Le Lac or Lacus. The location of this ancient lake can still be seen on military maps. It is a former backwater of the Loire, next to the Digue stream, the Malzard meadow, and the Goulet meadow. It had an island in the middle. Source: Mario Russi, Brionnais Charolais place names. Semur-en-Brionnais and Lancelot of the Lake. Chrétien du Troyes, late 12th century, told a true story that he had heard by word of mouth. The Lancelot of the Lake novel dates from the end of the 12th century, and it is set more in Francia than in Brittany. Lancelot of the Lake was from the Gaul country. This Gaul country was situated around the Loire River. This Gaul country was separated from Berry, in Bourges, by a border. This Gaul country could have been Lower Burgundy. A great battle took place in between the Loire River and the Arsy River. The battle took place near a royal monastery. Was there ever a more royal monastery than the monastery in Masseny? Only noble woman ever entered there. Proof of 4 generations of nobility on the father's side was required, the woman visitor thus making the 5th generation. Her mother also had to be noble. Semur-en-Brionnais meets all the criteria. The fortress is located on a rocky spur, Semur Castle. The fortress is close to a royal monastery, the monastery of Masseny-les-Nonnaines. The monastery in Masseny-les-Nonnaines was built above a valley, with a lake half a league, about 3 kilometers away, Saint-Martin-du-Lac. In pagan times, this large lake was called Lac d'Yenne. Ban stopped there, declaring he would go no further until daylight. In the meantime, he cast a farewell glance at his castle, which he preferred to all the castles in the world. He climbed a knoll, leaving the queen and her company beside the lake. On the road to Saint-Julien-de-Jonzay, there is a view like this. The forest in which King Ban of Benwick stood at that time surpassed the beauty of all the forests in Gaul and Little Brittany, even though it was a small forest, being only 10 English leagues long and 6 or 7 wide. When Lancelot of the Lake went to King Arthur's court in England, he was made a Knight of the Round Table, and then the flames of love were kindled between Lancelot of the Lake and Queen Guinevere, King Arthur's wife. What did Queen Guinevere's coat of arms look like? In his book about the coats of arms of the Knights of the Round Table, Michel Pastoureau has written this. Guinevere, Arthur's wife, generally bore a different coat of arms to those of her father or her husband. She had various coats of arms. At the end of the Middle Ages, it seems she mostly used gueules à bennes d'argent with 3 crescents azieux. This coat of arms, gueules à bennes d'argent with 3 crescents azieux, is that of the Templar Commandery in Briant. The General Amiral of Lyonnais, Forêt and Beaujolais mentions that the coat of arms gueules à bennes d'argent with 3 crescents azieux belonged to Briant. We have not found a place called Briant, only Brionnais. There is a place called Chateaubriand, but the blazon is not the same, and Chateaubriand is not in the Lyonnais-Forêt-Beaujolais region. The former location of the Templar commandery is well documented. It was on the site of the present Launay Castle, which was made part of the Sainte-Foy region during the regional reorganization of about 1870. However, there is another castle in Briant. It belonged to the Essertine family, whose coat of arms was argent, abend, azur. The coat of arms girls abend argent with 3 crescents azures is therefore the coat of arms of the Templar commandery of Briant, currently in Sainte-Foy. Briant must have been a very important place. According to some etymologists, its name became Brionnais. For the record, and because we are from Brionnais, we will tell you a few things about the Essertine castle. As from the 9th century, Essertine was the private kingdom of a chivalrous family of this name. In 1530, Joachim de Montrenard proclaimed himself Lord of Essertine. In 1576, the castle was ruined by the Reiter cavalry. In 1583, François de Molière had the castle rebuilt, the ruins of which still exist today. François II de Molière was known as the Tragic One because he was the author of several tragedies, including The Week in Love and Pollyenne. In 1583, he was stabbed in his bed. Jean-Baptiste Poquelin, with whom he had had relations, probably took his name of Molière. Anne Picardet, his wife, was the author of Métamorphose spirituelle and Recueil des poètes chrétiens du XIIIe siècle. This lady loved the world and its vanities, but God had made her aware of its emptiness. She showed gratitude and repentance for this. Such coincidences. The colours of Lancelot of the Lake still fly atop the tower in the Semur-en-Brionnais castle. And Queen Guinevere's coat of arms flew atop the Templar commandery in Briant. But what is even more curious is that this coat of arms, Gueules à bend d'argent with 3 crescents azures, also belonged to Jean IV Le Viste, who was the lord of Arcy Castle at the end of the 15th century, exactly at the time when the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries were being made. Strange coincidences in coats of arms. They are never copied. This is an unbreakable rule. Queen Guinevere, the Templar commandery in Briant. Jean IV Le Viste, Lancelot of the Lake. Semur-en-Brionnais Castle, the Lady and the Unicorn. Antoine II Le Viste. What incredible coincidences! We cannot attribute the commission of the tapestries to Antoine II Le Viste. The dates do not match. According to general opinion in art history, the 6 Lady and the Unicorn tapestries were probably made in Flanders between 1480 and 1500. A book called La Textile says it appears that the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries were woven before the end of the 15th century, probably in Brussels. Others are more precise, giving the most probable year of weaving as 1495. In every case, the commission, which was necessary prior to the weaving, could only have been made before 1500. That means before the date of John IV Le Viste's will, which was drawn up in 1500. The Le Viste family was not an old noble family. Their seals give us a multifaceted picture of this family. The blazon, which has been certified as belonging to Antoine Le Viste, has a jagged shape with 2 stars. The inscription M.A. Le Viste, CHLR, S.D. Friends Pres Plus means Maître Antoine Le Viste, Chevalier, Seigneur de Friends, President. The reverse side carries a crowned salamander and flames, and the king's motto, Nutresco Extingo. I feed on good fire and extinguish the bad. In France, non-nobles can have a coat of arms. Therefore, perhaps Antoine Le Viste copied his coat of arms from the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries, and not the other way round. This would explain why the coat of arms of Antoine II Le Viste, when in full cadency, does not respect heraldic language and the principle of differing colours. Nevertheless, we know that the tapestries belong to Jean IV and then to Antoine II Le Viste. The similarity between Antoine II's coat of arms and that of the tapestries is well documented. Furthermore, the exact similarity between the coat of arms of the Templar commandery in Launay and that of John IV Le Viste leads us to suppose that Jean IV Le Viste, the owner of Arcy Castle, was the commander of the Templar commandery in Brionnais. So, rather than attributing the tapestries to one person, should we not research into their belonging to a Kabbalist Brotherhood of the Middle Ages? One whose allegorical female patron was no other than Queen Guinevere. Jean IV Le Viste was the Grand Master, and his successor was his nephew Antoine II Le Viste. We will now embark upon a true story involving the Kabbalist Brotherhood of the Middle Ages. The complete book, including part 2, has been published. One by one, the 6 Lady and the Unicorn tapestries tell us the story of her only desire, total royalty over people's souls. Hierusalem. They also introduce the initiation themes of the Lady of the Lake, which indicates the path that leads to the city on the hill, Gilead. The author reveals this path, which is not an enchantment, but very real in its objectives and its places. The Philosopher's Stone of Harry Potter is also made known. By this stone you shall possess all the glory of the world. The Chemical Philosopher's Library. This book is part of a trilogy. It comes together with the Kabbalist Templars in the City of London and the Great Work. These 3 books can be read independently. It is for this reason that some passages are carried over from one book to another.